you know someone struggling with mental health, or if you are someone afraid of expressing your concerns about your mental health, then you probably have experienced the stigma that the public has created when it comes to mental illness. The National Mental Health Hotline is 866-903-3787. There's a few words I'd like to define: stigma and mental illness. Now, when it comes to the word stigma, it's a situation when people who experience mental illness view themselves or the situation in a negative light. And mental illness is defined as a disorder that affects your mood, your thinking, and your behavior. Ironically enough, we're all humans. So when it comes to mental health, it sounds like it's something that a lot of us experience or go through, but there aren't a lot of positive connotations when it comes to the word. Some describe the feeling of stigma as a feeling of shame or judgment from someone else. Society places an unnatural expectation on men specifically, also female. So this is a clear indication that this stigma affects us all. But I want to take a moment to kind of dissect the relationship between stigma and mental health when it comes to men, because I'm a little biased. So this unnatural expectation causes us to think, based off of society, that men have to be tough and hide from our emotion. As a result, men are less likely to seek help than women are, which results in a higher rate of depression and anxiety, as well as suicide. When it comes to women, even mothers feel being labeled as unfit if they express feelings of anxiety or depression. Stigma also comes from lack of understanding. I want to go back to the aspect of men, only because in my culture specifically, and I say that even though the reality is that most cultures, most countries, most people have the same mindset when it comes to mental illness, when it comes to viewing somebody who doesn't have a mental illness as being more capable than someone who does have a mental illness. The stigma in my culture is for men to not show emotion. In many situations, the only safe space that a man has is with his brothers, which is just another word that two men or a group of men share because the bond is so strong that you see the relationship with the person is more so the relationship with the family member versus just the friendship. This isn't just about mental health. This is my own way of creating another form of encouragement. So I want to reflect on the past. As men and women, we are descendants of kings and queens. And by that, I specifically mean mathematicians, scholars, scientists, teachers, protectors, that all evolved our culture before our unrectified abduction. We try to embody in our own way, our own version of what a strong man is. So I might get some backlash for this, but when I say society, I'm not just talking about a social presence like when you go outside. I'm also including the news, TV, movies, And one thing that we all understand, which is social media, they all become food for our brain. What you digest becomes part of your body. So it's the same thing from what you watch. Specifically the news, and I want to also shine light on that as well, just because a lot of us absorb so much information that we don't understand how important it is to filter the information that we're allowing ourselves to process each day. The news focuses on stories concerning violence when it comes to mental health. The studies show that people dealing with mental illnesses are usually victims rather than perpetrators of violence. Usually they do end their segment by giving a number to call or giving a hotline that you can contact if you're dealing with an issue when it comes to mental illness or whatever they're portraying. The problem is that they give these examples of individuals or situations without having enough discussions of different struggles that actually lead to mental illness and what to do if you are struggling. The reality is, most people with mental illnesses aren't violent. They're not criminal, and they're not dangerous. Now, when it comes to social media, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter all apply algorithms with the intention of keeping you on the app. Now, for a business, that's the perfect thing. At the end of the day, if we can keep you coming in, we're going to keep our business growing. And that is understandable. But the problem with only showing you content that you're interested in, it doesn't allow a lot of opportunity for you to seek a healthy understanding in areas that you're not too familiar with. These apps also put in effort in minimizing harm, like bullying when it comes to harassment, profanity, which is a great thing. But I do want to mention that there isn't really a strong focus on promoting well-being. Dr. Vonson and Johnson, who are consultants for TikTok, stated that this is the ethical thing to do because we have a responsibility to help these young minds develop in a healthier way. Oftentimes, as humans, when someone tells us not to do something, in most situations we end up doing it. So things to try to prevent yourself from saying are phrases like "it could be worse" or "just deal with it." They sound like you're trying to help. Those phrases really aren't too helpful. I found a couple of ways to get the stigma stamped out. So number one is, don't let this stigma prevent you from seeking help if you feel you need it. And by help, I mean contacting a licensed professional. Reach out to people who you can trust to support you. And at the end of the day, everything that you're going through, at some point in time, someone will have to go through that in the future. Be a pillar of hope, a beacon of light. I say that to say be respectful. A long time, I always felt like mental health was a major concern, but I didn't understand why, and I didn't know how to apply it. So if you're ever feeling alone, or feeling like pursuing this understanding or expressing it to someone is worthless, I just want to tell you that 1 in 5 Americans live with a mental illness. Their story says more about them than their diagnosis does. If you feel this does not apply to you, as a family member or caregiver, I do have some advice. Be the best role model that you can be. for yourself and for the youth by taking care of your own mental and physical health. I thank you for your time, and I just pray that we continue to hold questions about how we can honor ourselves and each other through this stigma surrounding mental health. May we continue to study and apply a better understanding, recognizing that this is a collective experience that inevitably impacts us all. So even if you choose not to pursue the understanding or the application of understanding, the reality is that this is going to affect you in the relationships that you have with others, whether you like it or not. I want to end this segment with a video that gives an example of how the stigma of mental health can be harmful.
To call somebody is crazy, is dismissive. I don't understand this person, so they're crazy. That's bullshit. These people are not crazy, they're strong people. Maybe the environment is a little sick.